A few years back, Oksana and Herman made a promise to spend the rest of their lives together. Herman, an ambitious entrepreneur, was steadily building his business, while Oksana, thanks to his encouragement, was finally able to dedicate herself fully to her love for fashion. With a sewing machine and a small studio space he had gifted her, she poured herself into designing and sewing garments. What began as small personal creations soon turned into custom orders from friends and acquaintances. Herman funded her travel to courses and workshops, eager to see her refine her craft and succeed. In the early days of Herman's career, he faced plenty of setbacks. Everything began to change when Vladimir, a friend from his university days, re-entered his life. Impressed by Herman's vision, Vladimir started lending his expertise, and soon they became business partners. The company thrived, and Herman found himself relying on him more than ever. Life felt complete, a prosperous business, a devoted wife, and a comfortable home. One day, wanted to surprise Oksana after returning home earlier than planned. He remembered passing a small jewelry store that specialized in unique handcrafted pieces. Thinking of her love for distinctive designs, he stopped in to see if they could create a custom piece. They could. Working closely with the artisans, Herman designed a white gold ring, set with delicate gemstones in the shape of ocean waves, a tribute to the day they first met by the sea. When it was finished, he gave it to Oksana, who was moved to tears. She wore it proudly alongside her wedding ring. Months later, after a long day at work, Herman came home for dinner. As Oksana set the table, he noticed the ring was missing. "Where's your wave ring?" he asked. She told him she had scratched it while sewing and had taken it to a workshop for repairs. "If you'd told me, I could have taken it back to the jeweler who made it," Herman said, a hint of disappointment in his voice. She laughed it off, assuring him it was a minor repair and she could handle it. The next morning, on his way to catch public transport, his car was still being serviced. He found himself wondering how she could have scratched the ring on her sewing machine. Then again, Oksana did have a tendency for small accidents, so he pushed the thought aside. Later that day, already late for a meeting and unable to find a taxi, Herman spotted Vladimir's car parked nearby. This caught his attention, as Vladimir had called in sick that morning. Curiosity got the better of him. He approached just as Vladimir stepped out of the shop, holding a small bag. "I thought you were sick," Herman remarked, suspicion creeping into his tone. Vladimir hesitated for the briefest moment before saying he felt better and just needed to run a few errands. Herman, still watching him carefully, asked for a ride to the business center. During the drive, Vladimir launched into a discussion about expanding the company and finally formalizing their partnership as equals, something had talked about before, but delayed due to legal red tape. Herman nodded along, but unease gnawed at him. Reaching for a water bottle in the back seat, his eyes caught on something metallic glinting on the floor mat, a custom ring, identical to the one he had designed for Oksana. In an instant, the pieces fell into place. Vladimir's sudden illness, his absence from work, the bag in his hand, and now Oksana's ring in his car. The realization hit hard. Vladimir wasn't just interested in the business. He had been seeing Herman's wife. The fury was immediate, but controlled. Herman's business was solely in his name. Vladimir had no legal hold over it. By the end of the day, Herman had revoked Vladimir's access to all shared files, blocked him from the office, and severed every professional tie. That evening, he confronted Oksana. Placing the ring in front of her, he exposed everything. Her face drained of color, her excuses dying before they could form. Without hesitation, he told her to leave. Oksana begged for another chance, but Herman refused. He arranged for her remaining belongings to be sent to her by courier, ensuring there was no reason for her to return. She left, turning to Vladimir for comfort, only to find her new life unraveling quickly. Vladimir's attempts to rebuild his career failed. Financial pressures mounted, and Oksana was soon forced to support both of them with her own job. The strain became unbearable. She left him, staying with a friend before filing for divorce. Months later, she tried reaching out to Herman, hoping for reconciliation. He didn't respond. That part of his life was over. Instead, he focused on expanding his business, throwing himself into his work. The betrayals were behind him, and his eyes were fixed firmly on the future, on success, and on a life built without the people who had once tried to undermine him.